Hello, welcome to the Leftist Lens. I'm Matt. That's James. Today we're going to talk about the awful debate that happened a couple days ago, and what the fucked up Supreme Court's been doing lately. And that's about it. That's all we got. But it's going to take a long time, and we're going to piss you off probably.
Let's start with the Supreme Court because there's so much to dig through in this.
All right. Well, as their term comes to an end, Monday is literally the last day of the term. They won't be back until October. So they're announcing the cases that they've been hearing since October. And there was a flurry of them on Friday because traditionally the Friday before the last day of the term is when they announce all their cases. So they announced a bunch of them yesterday. We're recording this on Saturday, June 29th. But they've got a few more cases that we'll get to that they haven't announced yet. So we're going to hear about those on Monday. But first, what we've heard about recently. Cities are allowed to make sleeping in public spaces a crime. That's new. What do you think about that?
I think Florida's going to love that because they've been trying to criminalize homelessness and panhandling here as long as I've lived here. And anytime that they've tried to do it, they find a gross inability to enforce it. But I'm sure that the powers that be that are behind managing private jails and city, county lockups, because they get more money for every head that's in the fucking can, have been behind lobbying for this. And congratulations to those fucks because they got their way.
Yeah, but not only that, but there's going to be more people homeless every year as we go forward because the economy is getting worse.
Yep.
Biden doesn't want you to think that, but it is. So there's going to be more and more homeless people, and yeah, I don't even know what to say. I would like to point out Gavin Newsom, governor of California, who has become pretty popular in Democrat circles. He said this was a good decision and that finally it clarifies the legal options for their cities to tackle their homeless problem. You know how you tackle the homeless problem? Free healthcare so that the section of homeless people who are homeless because of mental health conditions can get their help they need, and affordable housing so motherfuckers can afford a place to live. That's how you tackle it. You don't need laws like this.
Yeah. There's no I'm shocked that Newsom embraced this the way he did with no caveat at all.
I'm not really, because if you remember when the California passed the minimum wage law, they explicitly carved out an exemption for Panera.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Because he's good buddies with the CEO of whatever St. Louis Bread Company or whatever it's called that owns that.
Yeah, I need to stop slipping into the thinking that there are any redeeming qualities for any politician whatsoever. He's no different
there aren't
than any other.
Not a single one. They're all beholden to the money that flows into their campaigns. Every single one of them. They don't care about votes. They care about the donations.
Yep.
All right, so it'll be interesting to see, because I'm going to be honest. I walk to work all the time and I see homeless people in corners all the time. And when I look out the window of my office by the train tracks, there's a tent city back there. Jesus. And I'm curious to see what'll happen to those in the coming months. I don't know. We have the city council's all Democrats. The mayor's a Democrat. I don't know if they are looking to pass some kind of ordinances to make that illegal or not, but we'll see. I'm going to skip over Chevron for now because that's the one I'm going to talk about the most.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the bribes. They ruled, literally, the Supreme Court literally ruled that bribes are okay so long as they're paid after the politician does whatever it is the bribe wants them to do. So you can't prepay your bribes, but you can pay them after. And I guess the thought process is you can't stop somebody from donating because they're happy that a politician did something, or giving them money because they're happy a politician did something. I don't even know what to say about this. That is just so absurd. Yeah, you don't know what to say either. I don't even know what to say. By the way, the decision we just discussed and this decision were 6-3. The 6 conservative justices are the ones who passed this. The 3 liberal justices all dissented for both of these cases.
A lot. Okay. Wow. Yeah. I got
No comment,
nothing.
right? You don't know what to say.
I
It's
got
ridiculous.
nothing.
It's ridiculous. I mean, we already know that we just literally just said it. Our politicians don't care about votes; they care about the money. Well, the Supreme Court just made it easier for them to get more money, specifically from the people who want them to do certain things that are probably terrible. All right. Now let's talk about the J6 decision.
Oh,
So,
fuck.
because this one's interesting to me, particularly in how it was a 6-3 decision, but not the 6-3 that you think. It went differently. So a J6 rioter, they've been charging a lot of them with obstruction, and it was based on a law that came out of the Sarbanes-Oxley Act that was put into place after the Enron disaster. Enron financial disaster, I think we should probably say, in case anyone's never heard of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible, but maybe. But part of that law said that you could be charged with obstruction of official proceedings. That's where you've heard that probably, the law that some of these J6 riders have been charged with obstructing an official proceeding. Well, in the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, the preceding line to that refers specifically to destruction of records, because Enron's accounting firm, Arthur Andersen, I think,
Yep.
they destroyed records. Like, they were destroying records like crazy when they realized that they were about to get in trouble for all this shit. So that's what they made that law about. And the Supreme Court decided that that line about destruction of records applied to obstruction of official proceedings. So you can't charge people with obstructing an official proceeding unless they destroyed records, I guess. That's what this decision is.
Okay, that makes on the surface that makes sense, and it seemed like it was a bad choice by the prosecution to use that law to press that particular point because it really doesn't line up.
Yeah. So there are hundreds of J6 defendants who were charged and convicted of that, and all those are going to be wiped out.
But that wasn't the only thing that sent them to prison, right?
Some of them it was. For a lot of them it wasn't. But for some of them it was. But anyway, it was a 6-3 decision, but the 3 that dissented were liberal justices Sotomayor and Elena Kagan and Amy Coney Barrett. What? And Ketanji Brown Jackson sided on the other side. I don't even know what to think about that.
But the verbiage of the Sarbanes-Oxley seems very clear. And again, just reading the entirety of that section of the law and then applying it to these cases seems like a really bad fit. So
yeah, I don't think there weren't a lot of other things they could do. I mean, trespassing, maybe. That's about it. That's what they charged them with. Trespassing. I mean, some of them got charged with assault and things like that. But the ones that literally just entered the Capitol, a lot of them just got charged with that because there wasn't much else they could figure out to charge them with. And they wanted to charge them with something.
Okay, so if the Enron situation and specifically the behavior of Enron in terms of destroying records was the impetus for creating a new law to criminalize that behavior, and that it is clear that there are other ways that you can obstruct an official proceeding, and you can do it by interfering with the process itself. I'm hearing no chatter about engineering a law that is specific to that possible behavior, absent any destruction of records, the other ways in which you can obstruct official proceeding. I'm hearing nothing about we now need a law that addresses this.
Right. Well, first of all, passing a law now to address that won't affect.
No, it isn't going to solve the problem of these people getting let out of prison.
Right. But there was a comment, and I don't know, some media person commented that it seems like the Supreme Court is begging for something worse than January 6th with this decision. I don't see it that way. Because if they do worse things, there are other laws, like if they attack politicians, there's laws against, that they can charge for that.
Okay, but
this was used just for the people that all they did was enter the Capitol. This is what they charged them with.
I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but this is all a moot point anyway, because if Trump gets elected, they're all getting pardoned.
True. Yeah, and this doesn't really affect much else going forward. This, only retroactively affects some sentences in the J6
But that's also
cases.
one of the charges that Trump is facing in the election interference case.
True.
And that's going to have to be dropped.
Right. Yep. They won't be able to charge him with that too.
They're going to take a fucking victory lap for that one like you've never seen before. This comes back to the frustration that I've had for probably from the beginning when Jack Smith announced his first indictments in this, is that I never had any faith that even on any state level, I mean, yeah, we got a minor win in the New York case recently that's being sentenced on July 11th, but I never had any faith that this was going to be prosecuted efficiently. And people would say that, well, because Eileen Cannon was appointed to oversee I think she's just the documents case, right? Classified documents case, that she's going to run interference on that all day long. Absent any bad decisions by her and any interference, none of these prosecutorial processes have progressed the way they would have if it were anybody else being indicted. Anybody else being indicted for the things that he's facing would have already been sentenced, would already be rotting behind bars. I've never had any faith that this was going to.
Well, anybody else would have been put in jail for violating the gag orders that he did.
Yeah, even just that. Yeah. And like I said, July 11th, I'm still saying that's a huge litmus test. This Supreme Court thing was just as big of a litmus test. And if we don't see something on that immunity case on Monday, and you're talking about even the possibility of it waiting until October, if it even happens,
they've already heard the case. They're going to hear new cases in October. They've already heard that immunity case. They've made a decision on it. They just haven't announced it.
So if that's the case, then they would have to announce it on Monday, right?
Yes, they do have to announce it on Monday. They will announce it on Monday. They will.
So the July 11th sentencing is enormous.
So I would point out that anyone who's listening to this, they've already announced it. So something we don't.
Oh yeah. Ooh, creepy time travel. Fuck that shit. I don't want any part of that. Oh God. Lord fucking Jesus. Okay. So you want to talk about Chevron?
Let's talk about Chevron. This is the one I read the most about. This is the one the lawyers on TikTok are freaking out the most about. All right. So what is Chevron? So in 1983, the EPA made a rule after the Clean Air Act. They made a rule that companies could make changes to their factories without a permit, so long as they didn't increase the overall, pollution of their factory or something. And there was a lawsuit about that. Chevron actually sued, saying they didn't like that law. I don't know why. I didn't get into that. But anyway, the Supreme Court decided in favor of Chevron. It didn't seem like a big deal at the time. But that case has been cited 18,000 times in other cases that have come to federal courts since then. And it has been used to codify that federal agencies can regulate without Congress explicitly telling them what. For example, Congress can pass a law saying, FDA, it's your job to keep our food supply safe. And then the FDA can decide what that means. They can decide what that means when it comes to what to keep out of our food supply, for example, like banning a dye that's dangerous or something, shown to be a carcinogen, things like that. By overturning this, Congress will now have to pass a specific law saying, don't put carcinogens in our food. The FDA can no longer just make that decision based on available research at any given time. Okay, that's the problem here. So there's lots of other problems. You can't just say keep our water clean. Congress is going to have to go back and pass laws saying don't put oil in our water supply or something. You know what I mean? They can't just allow the EPA to decide what doesn't go into the water. You can think of a million different reasons, a million different regulations that federal agencies have, power that you've known federal agencies to have for the last 40 years. They don't have it anymore all of a sudden.
And is this going to affect cases? This will open up appeals for cases that have already been decided?
No, I think they'd have to file new cases. Not a lawyer, but I don't think you can appeal. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Actually, maybe. I don't know.
I'm talking
yes,
about,
it will take, but it will take court cases. But what this means is that it instructs federal courts to not side in favor of the federal agencies, basically. So if you want to pollute, file a lawsuit against the EPA, and the federal court has now been instructed by the Supreme Court to rule in your favor. You can pollute all you want, unless Congress passes a specific law preventing you from doing the specific kind of pollution that you want to do. So this is going to have incredible ramifications for the environment. It's going to have incredible ramifications for our food. The FDA can't really regulate that stuff anymore. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. Look for raw milk in your grocery stores, though. I can tell you that. The raw milk crowd's going to be happy.
On some level, this is a problem taking care of itself, because people
could
dropping dead left and right. This is just the quickness with which these things are sliding into darker and darker territory across the board. Everything we're talking about is like last week. We end every podcast saying, "Oh, what do you think we're going to be talking about next week?" And we're like, "I don't know, maybe nothing." And then a week goes by and we're all going to be dead from raw milk.
Yeah, it's dystopia.
It's fucking unreal.
So I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about any of this. I do recommend you read Justice Sotomayer's dissent and Justice Kagan's dissent in some of these cases. They're really poignant. I suggest you read them. But yeah, it's I don't know. And then so they haven't announced their decision in the Trump immunity case. Why? I don't know. You would think if they were going to piss us all off, Friday would be a better day to do that than Monday. So
for sure.
I tend to think that the fact they didn't announce it tells me they're not going to grant him immunity, right? I don't know. The listener, you know, but I don't know.
Right. Well, consider also that Monday is the beginning of a weird holiday week, because the holiday is in the middle of the week, and people I know in the work that I do, most people are taking the entire fucking week off, military, and so maybe that's, I don't know, but they could have still done that on Friday.
Yeah.
But also,
there were two other cases. I went through every case that they heard since October, and all of them had decisions except for the Trump immunity case and two other cases that were joined together by the court. And those two cases are about content moderation on websites and the First Amendment.
Yep.
Now, I don't know why they would delay announcing that decision either, but they did. So, I mean, it could just be that whoever's writing the opinions hasn't finished them yet. You know, I mean, that could be.
I thought they had already issued a decision on something related to internet content and ISPs.
They did. They made a decision that it's not a crime for the executive branch of the government to request Twitter take posts down. That's the decision they made already.
Yeah, that was it. I remember now.
So that they said that does not violate the First Amendment. This is whether websites themselves moderating content violates, which honestly, I don't see how it could.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as far as I know, and what I truly believe is that the restrictions of the First Amendment only apply to government agencies, not
Congress
to
shall. Yeah,
websites.
it's as plain as day. Congress shall make no law. Period. That's it.
So anyway, I don't know what they're going to announce there. Also, I don't know how I feel about it. Like I mean, I don't want to hear the bullshit from the far right any more than you do, but at the same time, I don't see how, like, Twitter, for example, can, or how, yeah, I mean, how the government can restrict that, and that Twitter should be allowed to if they want to.
Because if they are doing that, if the government is going to restrict that, then that seems to be the part that would be in violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah, and I keep using Twitter as an example. Twitter's not part of either one of these cases. That's
interesting in and of itself that Twitter is not part of it, because Twitter is like the epicenter of, it's like the event horizon for all fucking shit that exists.
Yes, it is. I don't know if you're on Twitter much, but I've noticed that they have a For You page now on Twitter, and they've had it for quite some time, and it'll switch to the For You page without you doing it, like every so often, like every day. And I'll notice it because I'll start scrolling around and I'm like, wait a second, why am I seeing this guy's post? You know, some asshole talking about how awesome Trump is or something. Why am I seeing this guy? That doesn't seem like I don't think I follow that guy. And then I look, oh no, it's switched to the For You page. And your For You page, no matter who you follow, is all far right bullshit. All of it. Wow. All of it is. It's Andrew Tate. It's all that bullshit. I don't know. Oh, you know what's something else we didn't talk about, and this is going to be in the Supreme Court in a few years. We didn't talk about it last week, but what about Louisiana requiring the 10 Commandments be posted in public classrooms?
Okay, on that, within a couple of days after that decision, I saw that a group of Hindu organization filed to have their religious tenets posted alongside. So it's a stupid fucking decision. It's ripe for fucking challenge, and I expect this from states like Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, these ass backwards 45th to 50th ranked in education in the country states. It's fucking dumb, but whatever. The stupidity behind this.
I didn't think that much of it because I don't see how it can stand. I mean, it's going to get challenged, and this is not new. This has happened before. I think they're banking on the current Supreme Court from siding with them, but I don't think they will. Maybe, but I don't think so.
Yeah, it's always, I mean, a lot of Supreme Court cases, since it got stacked the way that it's stacked currently, have not necessarily gone the way that we've feared they were going to go. There have been some eyebrow raising decisions, and this would be, I think, a slam dunk for anybody challenging it.
Yeah, I don't see even this court. And it's not just that they want to be allowed to display them, it's a requirement.
Yeah. Fucking stupid.
Yeah. So, all right. So that's the Supreme Court. Anything else to say on that?
No, but let's move on to the debate, which I didn't watch. I've seen a few seconds of, and I've seen a lot of reactions about it, and the reactions are pretty much what I expected. Now, I saw this morning a clip of Jen Psaki. You remember her? She was George Bush's press secretary for a while?
No, she was Biden's.
But she was Biden, but okay. Yeah, okay. But she, and I didn't recognize her. She's like,
I didn't recognize her either. I saw the clip too.
She's gone downhill. Anyway,
she got older. You got
She
all
was
those genes. It
talking.
happens to us all.
She was talking. Fuck you! It isn't happening to me. Eat shit.
Your beard's always been gray.
It's not gray. It's there's some other color going on there. Anyway, she's talking
I
about
got
how
the gray too.
how it's impossible to find somebody that could replace Biden at this stage. And she's talking about the fact that there are no untested or there are no tested candidates that could be put in. Yes, in the next 2 or 3 elections, there is a plethora of people who will probably be the better candidates against anybody else. But the idea of Biden dropping out seems to be an impossibility at this point.
I don't know. I've seen that argument, but I've also seen a ton of people calling for him to drop out, including European foreign ministers.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, holy shit, you got to get rid of this guy because they don't want Trump and they're afraid that Trump can beat him because of that performance. I don't know.
Yeah, and I've seen all the fact checking of every response and every statement made by Trump in this, and like he literally said nothing that had any grain of truth at all. It was just all demagoguery.
Trump was Trump. That he was who he is. He didn't sway anyone one way or the other with anything he said because that's just how he always is. But Biden absolutely lost votes. Absolutely, he did.
But he lost votes. But you're not implying that the people who are now not going to vote for Biden are going to vote for Trump. They're going to either vote,
but they may not vote at all.
They may not vote at all, or they're going to vote.
Yeah,
for
he lost.
party.
All right, what he lost was independent votes. So he has the blue MAGA votes. He doesn't have the leftist votes. That is what it is.
Yep.
It's independent votes that he needs, and he lost a lot of those with this debate performance.
Are they scheduling a second debate, or was this it?
One there's done? 3. I think there's really? 3 scheduled.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I don't know when the next one is. Let's see. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was bad. It was bad.
I don't know if they're gonna do anything like a town hall like they did with Obama and McCain.
The next debate's not till September.
Wow.
So I did see.
Well, this was really early for any debate. This
is
one
the earliest presidential debate in history.
Yeah.
And someone was theorizing that they did that specifically so they could see how Biden would do. So they still had time to change the candidate if they had to. That was somebody's theory.
Or change what medications they've got him on before the debate to
I did see. So I wasn't watching the debate, but I was on Twitter at the time, and somebody tweeted during the debate that, oh my God, both of these candidates need performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah, I saw that too. Oh my God. And I haven't seen,
but here's the thing. I did watch the State of the Union a few months ago, and Biden was good in that. He really was.
Yeah.
And he was so much worse in the debate that I have to think he was on something at the State of the Union. Not only that, the day after the debate, he had a rally. And he was good in that. Tons of energy, really fiery. I feel like they are giving him drugs.
Well, wait a minute. Didn't he make some statement in the debate or after the debate that he had a cold, that he was ill?
Yeah, and he did just come back from an overseas trip, which can be tiring.
Oh, yeah.
But hey, you scheduled the debate. You scheduled the overseas trip.
And they now know that the next one's September, so they should be very careful in what they're scheduling around the next debate.
Yes.
Make sure he's got several naps scheduled in the days prior.
But still, look at the debate stage and tell me how the fuck in a country of 350 million people, these are the 2 motherfuckers we have to choose from.
Oh, and like I saw a meme. I saw a meme last night that showed cartoons of Trump and Biden up on the stage. Both had a Star of David on their fucking podiums, and Trump's over here saying Biden's a bad Palestinian, I love Israel, and Biden's standing over there saying I love Israel. And it's this bad Palestinian comment is so fucking stupid. any Palestinian watching that should have just been fucking chucking shoes at the fucking screen.
Yeah, well,
It's fucking
Palestinians aren't
disgusting.
voting for either of them, so
Yeah. It's
they don't have to pander to them. They're not voting for either of them. I'm not voting for either of them either. But what they're worried about, what the Democrats are worried about, is it's not just that that Biden probably lost votes, but if there are people who don't show up to vote because of that debate performance, it hurts other people down ballot.
What do you mean?
Like if an independent voter tends to vote Democrat, they decide they're not going to vote. It's not worth it because people the presidential election is the premier. That's the glamour election, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't even know who's down ballot in their Senate election, their House election, their local election, but they'll tend to just check the box next to all the Democrats because they're there anyway, right? So if they're not showing up to vote for Biden, they're also not showing up to vote for all those other Democrats down ballot. That's what the Democratic Party is worried about.
Yeah. Well, frankly, the Democratic Party has invested everything in the candidate they chose. This is what you get.
Right.
And
so, but I am going to show up to vote. I am not voting for Biden, but I will vote for some Democrats down ballot. There's some that I like that I will vote for.
In local elections here. I mean, we've still got things to consider on the state level here that need to pass and have the energy currently to pass, that we need to hold on to that, because if they don't pass this time, it's going to be, I mean, like there's two laws on the ballot in Florida. One that breaks DeSantis's stranglehold on abortion rights here, and the other one is recreational marijuana.
Yeah. But also, if you want, it's important to vote down ballot too, because if Trump does win, you want the Democrats to have at least one of the two houses of Congress. Right?
Yeah, I don't know that that's even a possibility this time. I'm deeply concerned about how that balances out in this particular election.
Well, I mean, typically, you would expect the House to flip in an election like this.
Yeah.
But you would have expected it to go a lot harder toward the Republican in the midterms, and it didn't. So who knows?
You think we're probably going to just have that same slim margin, but maybe flip in the other direction?
I do. And I don't know about the Senate. I think the Democrats can hold the Senate. I think I don't know if there are, but if there are any states that literally have abortion on the ballot, that'll help Democrats a lot. I don't know if there are any that do.
Well, Florida does.
I don't know what's going to happen in Pennsylvania. We have a Senate election.
Well, wait, hold on. Regarding abortion on the ballot, there was also a decision in the mess of shit that SCOTUS released, that because Idaho has some of the most draconian abortion laws in the country, and they whittled away at that a little bit because they sort of pushed back on the absolutism that Idaho has in their abortion laws, and says that, you know, under certain circumstances, abortions are justified. It's nowhere near enough.
The Supreme Court protected access to the drug. That's what they did.
Well, that was separate from the thing that was specific to Idaho, though. That mifepristone decision that affected every state, did it not?
Everything the Supreme Court does affects every state.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't a case brought by Idaho.
Oh, I don't know what did Idaho bring. I guess I don't know about that one.
I don't know, but the Supreme Court decision was specific to a law in Idaho that they pushed back on, allowing, because there was absolutely no access.
Do you mean the emergency abortions?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that does affect every state. If they decide they decide against Idaho, it does affect every state.
Yeah.
But so they did decide against Idaho. I guess I didn't see that one.
Well, they decided that emergency abortions are legal, where Idaho's law says they are not.
Right. So emergency abortions then, in effect, are legal everywhere now.
True.
So
yes.
That's good. I do have personal experience with that, by the way. And I was married once years ago, and my ex-wife had an emergency abortion. She would have died without it. So that matters.
Yeah, it's insane to me that we're even talking about whether or not that should be. That's debatable in some sense. We are in dark times.
Very dark times. Very dark times. It's hilarious. It's great. Why do I laugh all the time? I don't know. It's a coping mechanism. All right. I don't know. Do you think they're going to... I had mentioned on this podcast before that I had heard rumblings that they were considering having Biden drop out before this terrible debate performance. So what do you think? I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. I am 100% certain he has been asked to drop out, but I'm 100% certain he has. People have absolutely called him. Donors probably have called him. And some politicians have probably called him and asked him to consider dropping out since that debate. I guarantee they have. But nobody's going to force him. He's going to have to decide to do it because he is the de facto head of the Democratic Party right now.
And I think that reality alone is enough of an answer that I think the odds of him dropping out are slim to none.
Yeah.
Because the question that follows that is who do you please tell me nobody's thinking about making Kamala Harris the candidate, because that's dead on arrival.
Well, if he drops out now, they can just have the delegates at the convention decide who it is. They could.
Sure, that's the purpose of the convention.
They could have several people throw their hat in the ring and let the delegates decide.
Yeah.
No matter what, though, it's out of the voters' hands. But here's an interesting thing. Voters are not required to pick who your candidate is for a party. The only thing the law requires is that voters decide in the second Tuesday in November who wins the election. Parties are allowed to pick their candidates however they want. And Democrats and Republicans just happen to have primary elections to do that, but they don't have to. They can literally just say, you're the candidate. They can do it however they want.
In the process of the convention.
They don't have to have conventions either. They can literally put whoever they want. Literally whoever they want for whatever reason. They can use whatever mechanism they want.
But the only aspect of that supersedes any of this is that when you have a incumbent president that's running for a second election, he, like you said, he's the de facto head of that, that the DNC in this case. And it really rests with him.
It does.
And it's only until he makes that decision that the DNC then exercises the mechanics of, we got to decide who to put in here because.
Right.
Yeah. So at this point, it's all Biden. I mean,
and I don't think he's going to drop out necessarily, but I think it's possible. I mean, in a normal year, that I wouldn't even consider it. The incumbent president would never drop out of a re-election.
Yeah, there's no precedent for this
ever.
Yeah.
I would never even think that was possible. But in this case, I think it's at least slightly possible. I don't know. I know people are calling for it. I know they're scared that him being on the ballot is going to hurt other candidates down ballot. So I don't know. It's possible. However unlikely, it's possible. I mean, he could die. Trump could too. We've talked about that before. They're both old.
Oh God, please let that happen. Yeah, I don't know. It's this. This could be something we talk about with better outcomes next week. There could be things that happen in the next week because that's how these things are going.
Well, I don't know. I see this on TikTok and Twitter a lot that I'm tired of living in unprecedented times because everything that happens is unprecedented lately. It's everything.
It's been that way since the pandemic. The frequency with which unprecedented things happen, it's just exhausting. It's been exhausting for 5 years.
All right, you want to talk about our astronauts?
Yeah, they're.
We talked about this last week. The astronauts that were sent to the ISS on a Boeing spacecraft, the Boeing Starliner, and then they got stuck there because because fuel leaked out of it, and there's other thruster problems.
Mhm.
Well, NASA and Boeing jointly announced recently that no, they're not stuck there. We're just being cautious. Meanwhile, the mission was the spacecraft was rated for a maximum length mission of 45 days.
Mhm.
They are extending that to 90, so they think they're going to be up there longer than 45 days. They've been up there for only 2 weeks, or 2 weeks longer than they were supposed to. They're supposed to come back on the 13th. It's 29th today. But they're clearly expecting them to be up there longer. They said at least 2 more weeks, but I think they're thinking months. There are currently tests being run on another Starliner to see if some solutions they have come up with to get them home on the broken one they're on up in space will work. Just it is important to note that if the Starliner cannot bring them home, they do have other ways to get them home. It's not that they're just stuck up there forever. And also, were there 3 people on the Starliner? I think there's 9 people on the ISS, so there's other astronauts up there. There are 2 other craft up there that they could take home if they need to. There's a Soyuz up there, and
That's what I was going to ask. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, there's one already up there, but they can definitely send other things up there if they need to.
Yeah.
So they're not literally going to be stuck up there. The question is whether Boeing's spacecraft will ever be used again, or is it
Shouldn't
safe?
be.
I don't know.
Yeah, this should put Boeing on a back shelf for a very long time. Besides, I don't think they've criminally charged them yet, but the DOJ is looking to criminally charge Boeing for negligence with regard to their fixed wing aircraft.
Right.
So this is a ripple effect, and they're going to have to. There's probably a resupply mission already scheduled for the ISS because those are on a regular basis. But they're going to have to modify that resupply if they're going to keep additional people up there for additional days.
True.
So that's some logistical nightmare shit too.
And they're primarily using the SpaceX craft for resupply, right? That's what
Pretty much, yeah. There's another company. I don't think it's United Launch Alliance. It's another company that is really close to having a crew capsule that allegedly can work to both resupply and bring people back and forth. So that might be another option. I don't think that's going to materialize in 90 days, though. It's probably a year from now. But yeah, SpaceX should already. That's why I don't understand why there isn't just a. But like you said, there's two vehicles that are still attached that they can come home in. So why isn't that being considered? That's
because it's not an emergency situation and they're not worried about them being up there. That's why.
Okay.
I mean, people have been up there for as long as a year before. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not like they're going to miss a doctor's appointment or something. They're okay being up there. So,
well, yeah. And I saw yesterday that SpaceX was awarded an $845 million contract to create a vehicle that is going to attach to the ISS to deorbit it and burn it up at Point Nemo. So that's
what, 3 years, 2027, I think.
No, 2030.
Oh, 2030.
Yeah.
I remember when they built that damn thing.
I remember when we deorbited Skylab, and when it came down, they were selling T-shirts for that shit.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I was alive when that happened, but I don't remember it.
Yes, you were alive. God damn it.
I remember the Mir. That was the Russian space station.
Oh yeah. God, that thing was a mess. Jesus Christ.
But that was up there at the same time as the ISS. That was up there while they were building the ISS. The Mir was up there.
Yep.
But yeah, the Mir came down to Earth several years ago. And the ISS will too. And then I guess we're going to build stuff on the moon next. That's the next.
And
I don't know. I think space travel is cool. I just don't know if I would want to fly on a Boeing spacecraft given their recent troubles.
I wouldn't want to fly in a Boeing plane at this point.
Right?
Seriously. Yeah.
It's what's weird is that the older Boeing planes are safer than the newer ones. That's why, like, they're making a new Air Force Ones, and rather than have Boeing construct a plane for it, they went and bought 1970s era 747s from Korean Airlines to retrofit.
I think the problems that Boeing is having currently that's got them in legal trouble doesn't really have to do with the model of aircraft. It has to do with cost cutting on the maintenance side of things.
Well, and design. They're designing things with inferior parts and things like that. That's why their newer planes have a much higher accident rate. They have much higher failure rates than their old planes.
Yeah. Anyway, let me do the usual and pull up the Google News feed. The Uvalde police chief was indicted and arrested for his role in the failed response to the school shooting.
Yes, he was.
I love that for him.
I do too. Have you been following the Karen Reed trial at all?
I see stuff about it. I still don't know what the fuck that's even about.
I don't know. We're not a true crime podcast, but I've been following it pretty closely. I cannot believe that the jury has not come to a decision.
Is it in the hands of the jury at this point?
It has been for four days.
What's the quick synopsis of what that case even is? Because I literally don't know.
The quick synopsis. All right. She's accused of running over her police officer boyfriend and killing him. The prosecutors presented witnesses for almost like a month, right? Or maybe more than a month, a long time. Lots of witnesses. All of their witnesses were friends with the people whose house the guy was dead at. Okay. So it happened. This happened in the front yard he was found in the front yard of the town selectman's house. All right. So he's like the mayor of the town. It was his house that the guy was found dead, whose yard the guy was found dead in. After he and Karen Reed and a bunch of their friends were out partying. So the witnesses for the prosecution were all the friends of the guy whose house the dead guy was found in, right? They all deleted all of their phone calls and text messages from that night. All of them. They physically destroyed their SIM cards and got rid of their phones. All of them. There was a dog in the house that they had for 7 years that they rehomed and then had them rehome him again so that nobody can find him. Nobody knows where that dog is now. He's been rehomed multiple times, so nobody can find the dog. So all of that happened.
Wait a minute. What does the dog have to? Is the dog a witness?
Because the defense put up an expert that said that the guy's injuries, okay, his arm was all cut up. His arm was all cut up. It had puncture wounds and long. I'm doing a claw motion because that's 100% what they look like. They look like claw marks. But the prosecutor argued that was glass. He was cut by glass from the broken taillight. All right, so the vehicle literally only has a broken taillight, no other damage. There's no dents, nothing. Just a broken taillight. If you've ever seen a vehicle accident, even when you hit something like a deer, you get way more damage than just a broken taillight, right? So if she ran over a dude, there'd be way more damage than a broken taillight, you would think. That's all there was, a broken taillight. Well, there's also video of her backing into a car like an hour before and breaking her taillight. So there you go. Not only that, but when they presented the video of the car being the car in the police garage being, they call them Sally ports in Massachusetts, which is fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's a goddamn garage. So the car was in the police garage. They're doing the forensics and stuff. when the prosecutors presented it, they flipped it so that the taillight would look like it was on the opposite side, because they were going to argue that that's the side that they hit him on, because that's the side his injuries are on. But the defense and the cross-examination, they said, isn't this video reversed? And they admitted it was, and the judge made him reintroduce it, flip the right way. So they did all kinds of fucking guilty as hell shit, making it look like they covered it up. And then the defense took 2 days to present their case, and they brought up experts. This is the kicker. The defense experts were not hired by the defense. In court, they just said they were hired by another agency, is all they were allowed to say in court. It was the FBI, because the FBI is investigating the police department for corruption. The ones that were all the witnesses for the prosecution are being investigated by the FBI right now while this case is going on. So the FBI hired accident reconstructionists and doctors and stuff to investigate this case for them. And the defense called them. They had a doctor that said there is no way his injuries were from being hit by a car, and the accident reconstructionist said there was no way that that car hit him. And then they brought an expert on that said his injuries were indicative of a dog attack. So he had black eyes and a bump on the back of his head and one arm. Those were the entirety of his injuries. No broken ribs, no bruising anywhere else, right? So he had his arm up like this when the dog was attacking him. Dog bit his arm and scratched his arm. That's how this is the defense theory, and it makes perfect sense. And he was beaten by the son of the town selectman at that home, because he had, the next day, there's pictures of him out at the bar with bloody knuckles.
What the fuck?
They called him on the stand, and he said he got those bloody knuckles when he slipped on the driveway and he put his knuckles down to brace his fall. And that's how he got his bloody knuckles. Does that make sense?
But so how was there not forensic testing, like looking for DNA from the victim?
Oh, because there was. They collected it in red Solo cups.
What the fuck?
Yes. Because you have to remember, all the people that did the investigation were at that house partying when all this happened.
So none of these other people at this house got charged with destruction of evidence or anything?
Nope.
What state is this in?
Massachusetts.
Holy fucking Christ.
So anyway, this case goes on, and then the public that's following along, they're all like, holy shit, she is absolutely innocent. 100% she's innocent. 100% this was a cover-up. And then the jury told the judge yesterday that they were hung. There's somebody in the jury won't acquit her. I don't know.
This feels like this is a mistrial. I mean, this is so backwards. I can't even get my head around it.
It is crazy.
She's the only person charged in this, and charged with murder.
Yep. Second-degree murder.
Where did the idea come from that she did this?
Oh, that's funny. The lead investigator sent a text message. So they deleted all their text messages, but some of them have been recovered. And he sent a text message to the other cops that were at that house, at that party, saying, we gotta pin it on the girl. That's what he said.
So there's your
pin it on the girl.
That's how this connects to the existing corruption investigation by the FBI. Yeah, what a tangled fucking mess.
It's insane. But somehow the jury doesn't see it the way all the rest of us do. At least one person on the jury doesn't. Because they've been deliberating for 4 days, and on Friday, they sent a note to the judge saying they were hung, but the judge told them to go back and keep things. Now, I was on a murder trial back in March of 2023, and we sent a note to the judge and said we were hung at one point because we had one guy we wanted to convict, though. It was different. 11 of us wanted to convict, and we had one guy that wouldn't. He was confused about the difference between reasonable doubt and all doubt. He didn't like that there weren't witnesses. But there was physical evidence and there was circumstantial evidence and lots of it. So including there was video of the accused on video with the murder weapon in his hand after the fact, but there wasn't witnesses of him actually doing it. And he was like, I just needed to see him actually do it. That was what he kept saying. We told the judge we were hung. She told us to keep deliberating, but we could go home and sleep on it. When we left that night, that guy said, I'm never going to change my mind. This is stupid. And then when we came in the next morning, the very first words out of his mouth were, I changed my mind. Let's go. So I'm hoping that's what happens in this case. But what a lot of people think, because, another thing has been happening. I told you the guy whose house it was is the town selectman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have, meetings, town hall meetings or whatever. Citizens have been lining up at these meetings to tell him that he needs to resign, that they're not afraid of him anymore. This one old lady was on there. I'm not afraid of you anymore. The FBI is going to get you and stuff. So apparently this town, I think it's called Canton, Massachusetts. It's outside of Boston. And I might be wrong about what it's called, but it's definitely outside of Boston. But it's crazy. What's crazy is it seems like this town has been corrupt for quite some time, that the town selectman has an army of cops that'll do his bidding, and they think his son is the actual murderer. And then he had the cops cover this all up.
Is his son the knuckle boy?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like
there will be a movie. It is so crazy. There will absolutely be a movie about this.
But
brighter here. I'm bright now.
Yeah, I see that.
Sun came out.
So the DOJ's, it seems to me that the way that the DOJ's corruption investigation of this ties directly into whatever this case really is very critical, and it should be influencing. I mean, I assume the jury knows that the FBI is investigating this.
They may not, because the defense was not allowed to say the FBI hired you. They said all they were allowed to say was another agency. They were allowed to say it wasn't us.
But there's no chance that, I mean, this DOJ investigation has been happening for a while, apparently.
You would think.
There's no chance that any of these jurors are already aware that.
There is a chance, but it's not guaranteed that they know. But what a lot of people think is there's someone on the jury that's in the pocket of the town selectman, and he's the one that is refusing to acquit her.
Yeah. Wow. This is wild.
Yeah. So and the other thing that's interesting is typically the defense doesn't want a hung jury. They want a verdict, typically.
And the hung jury is just going to be a retrial.
If there's a hung jury, then the prosecution, there can be a retrial. There doesn't have to be, but it's up to the prosecutor whether he wants to do another trial or not. But they can, and they usually do. But typically, a hung jury is bad for the defense because they have to do the whole defense over again. You want to know what the jury's going to decide, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in this case, it's the opposite. The prosecutor is begging the judge to make them keep deliberating, and the defense is okay with a hung jury. Why would that be? Maybe the prosecutor knows that they got a guy on this jury, but they don't have a guy. They may not have a guy on the next jury.
True.
So that's why they want to get a verdict. They're hoping their guy can sway the other 11. I don't know, man. It's wild. It is wild. And I can't wait for the movie. It'll be great.
Damn. Yeah, I'm now that I'm informed about this, I'm intrigued. Shouldn't be too much longer then, though. I mean, they'll stay in deliberations for some period of time, but not.
I mean, they're going to start deliberating on Monday. If they don't come up with a verdict on Monday, I don't know. I don't know what. I don't think there's a rule. Like, the judge doesn't have to declare a mistrial ever. They can make them keep deliberating for weeks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This judge has been very favorable to the prosecution also. So
the judge is probably just as corrupt as the fucking police department is.
Yep.
Holy Christ. Wow. Okay. That's going to be spinning around in my head all day.
Yeah, it's wild.
All right, doing
All
anything?
right, so we went off the rails there. We don't normally talk about that kind of stuff, but
yeah, big Independence Day week coming up. You got any plans?
I plan to not go to work on Thursday. That's about it.
Yeah, my fucking days off at work are always Sunday, Monday, and usually I take my holiday on Tuesday, but they've got me scheduled to take my holiday on Thursday. So my days off are all broken up with the holiday, which I hate that, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. Currently, I have a job that I like. I don't honestly like having days off. When left to my own devices to decide what to do on my days off, sometimes I get into not good shit. So
Yeah, let's not do that this time.
I got a personal trainer now, so I've been working out, and I'm supposed to do a
cool.
run today.
Good on you. Good on you.
Yeah. So I did one workout so far, and my second one's supposed to be today. I was going to use the excuse that it's raining to not do my run, but it got sunny
sun's out now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to rain later, but it's sunny right now, so maybe it's a good time to go get that in.
I think it is. All right, I'm going to go have breakfast and carry on with my day, and then I'll talk with you throughout the week, and we'll do this again.
All right, have a good week, and take care of that doggo.
Yep, I'll let you know how she's doing. Thank you.
All right, man. Thanks, everybody. Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Oh,
don't support us, but argue with us.
So I want to post on the podcast things. How can I get the audio?
Oh, yeah. Let me stop the recording and streaming.